So hello everyone and welcome to today's Rockstar Call. I'm really excited because on the line we've got the awesome Steve Messina from Blow Up Hollywood. Hi Steve, thanks so much for being here to talk with us today.
Hi Lisa, so good to hear your voice.
And always
my
good to hear you. Always good to hear you. And your show from the other night. We've got a couple clips up, and thank you again for dedicating Shine to us. That was so awesome of you.
You kidding me? For you, anything.
Wonderful, wonderful. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to get the word out about what you're working on, put a little info out there about Blow Up Hollywood, and let these guys know a little bit more about your story, what you've been doing, what you're working on. So let's see. You know, I've known you for a while, and you are.
Well, it's been a long time. How many years I think it is now? When did we meet?
You got to make me age myself right now. At least 14 years.
I actually remember the day we met. We met in a club called Hell, didn't we?
How do you remember what it was called? Yes, it was for somebody's CD release, right?
That's right. We met in a club called Hell.
I met you in Hell.
That's I met you in Hell. It was for a CD release party for, I forget the band's name or the artist's name now, but we were, and I was with my partner Nick, who actually started Blow Up Hollywood with me, and then after we met, you started working with the band a little bit. And you were helping me. You were helping me kind of get my my feet wet and grounded and off to the races. So,
well, I helped you
were there.
I helped you a little. I got to see you guys get started, but let's face it, you knew what you're doing. You've always been great at both the music and the business, which is really admirable. But I wanted to just let people know, like, you're not just a talented guitarist and singer and songwriter. You've composed music for soundtracks, all of this. And, you know, how did you even get started, I guess, in the music business? I remember your band MJ12, which was more of an indie rock genre, awesome band.
Yeah. And
how, like, did you start with indie rock? What were your roots, and how did you kind of evolve into the Blow Up Hollywood thing?
Well, you know, I started because my dad played guitar. He plays more piano now than he plays guitar, but he played guitar around the house all the time, and I was so fascinated with it, and I loved it so much, and it brought me so much happiness and joy to listen to him play that I knew for sure at a very young age that's what I was going to do. And then, of course, I followed through and just made my life, arranged my life so I could become a professional musician, which I've been very lucky to do since I was 18 years old. When I was younger, I used to play in a few different groups and a few different bands, but I wasn't a singer. I just played guitar. And I realized pretty quickly that I wanted to and needed to sing if I wanted to have the kind of career I wanted to have in music. Because in pop music, the singer is the most important facet of any group, you know. And then
right.
How
and you got an amazing voice. Now, I seem to recall you told me a story about how you started singing. Was it just because somebody was always late for rehearsal? Like, what happened? How was it that you started really singing, like being a front man?
Well, the band I was in, we had got signed to a small record deal. This is back in the early 90s. And when we were negotiating contracts and talking about money, I started to realize the songwriter and the singer kind of had complete control of the business. And when that kind of dissolved, and it kind of dissolved on its own, I realized going forward, if I wanted to really have a career, I already liked to songwrite, and I did some of that, but I really needed to sing. So I started just practice singing on my own, just just to do it. I'd never really had done it before. And once I felt comfortable enough and I started doing some shows of my own and started writing some songs, that's when the birth of MJ12, the indie rock band that you know and mentions, kind of came to fruition, you know. So it was out of need and necessity, but of course now I'm so happy I did it because I love singing. You know, it makes me feel so good to sing. I think everybody should be singing. Singing is like, you know, you get to breathe when you sing, and it just brings you so much joy. It's very cathartic to do, you know.
Yeah, and I think we're all glad that you started singing because you've got an amazing voice. Very distinctive. So sweet. Well, it's the truth. It's the truth. So, okay, how did we go from MJ12 to Blow Up Hollywood? How did you first become inspired to start that project?
Well, after MJ12, after we released our first record, when we did it on our own, this is back in '95, I got introduced to a couple of guys who started managing me in the group, and for years we were just kind of making this pop rock music, and I was always trying to write, or they wanted me to write, what they would consider pop songs or hit songs, and that's a craft unto itself, and I enjoy trying to do it, but after a while I kind of felt like I wasn't getting out of it what I wanted to. It became more business like, and it was less about the music and more about, you know, crafting these 3-minute or 4-minute songs that could get on the radio, and I just started to become very unhappy, and as you know, from your experience and with music and the music industry, it's a very difficult industry. It's a very there's a certain way and a certain game to it, and I wanted to be more expressive. I wanted to do my own thing, and I was kind of tiring of the quote unquote like entertainment business, because there's entertainment and then there's art, you know, and sometimes
right.
Those two things can come together, which is really great if you can make those two things come together. And then sometimes it's just, you know, you want to write for yourself, and I was just getting tired of people, whether it was the managers or even certain record labels that I was trying to appeal to. I just didn't feel like I was being me anymore. Like I felt like I was just being this craftsman and structuring these songs so they fit this format, you know, and it's just like
right.
Yeah, I just started to feel like I wasn't
songwriting machine.
Yes, exactly. I didn't feel I wasn't being authentic to myself anymore, and I started to really feel that. So as time went on, I decided started writing this other music that at the time my managers weren't as interested in. The songs were longer, they were less commercially driven, you know, they were just more stuff that I just wanted to do, I gravitated to, and that kind of started Blow Up Hollywood. And that's when I was thinking about it, after I wrote the first batch of songs that would eventually be the first album, Blow Up Hollywood, before I even had the name. I was thinking to myself, what can I call this? And I wanted to kind of have a rebel name against the music industry, and I thought, and then against the entertainment industry. And I thought, what better name than Blow Up Hollywood?
There you go.
So yeah, it's interesting.
It's a great name.
It's funny though, because that name, a lot of people, when you hear that name, they think it's probably going to be some kind of like heavy, dark metal band. And then, as you know, the music is very kind of quiet and slow. It's the exact opposite of the music and the name of the group, you know.
Well, you know, I think that kind of works though, right?
Yeah, I like
Blow
it too.
Up Hollywood to go with the ambient kind of deeper stuff, kind of what, like Massive Attack. What do you expect when you first hear that, right? You probably don't expect
that's actually a nice comparison. Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah, I love it. I love ambient music. I love the old school long form, because, you know, as the business and and the industry has changed. Albums have kind of disappeared, but that's the kind of thing I like to do. I like the long form of making songs that feel like they all belong on a record together. And the idea or the perfect scenario for me is when somebody buys or listens to the record, is that they listen to the record from start to finish. That's kind of like a dream, I know the way people's attention spans nowadays, that they're so short. To get anybody to sit down for 45 minutes or an hour and be quiet and just listen to a whole record is very difficult.
Or to get them to sit down for a half hour. Like the old LPs, right? They're a half hour, not even. I just think people have gotten out of the habit. And I really like what you're talking about, that whole idea of a theme, where the pieces go together.
That's right.
As opposed to CD format, where you don't even know what the names of the tracks are, but you know them by number, so you skip around, and it's
right.
Not the same. Not the same.
No, it's a different world, and that's also the younger generation. I think actually in some ways, I think the younger generation now they're kind of going back to that a little bit, which is nice.
Right. That's actually what I've heard. That they're, first of all, starting to think vinyl is cool, and they're starting to be into it.
Oh yeah, vinyls are outselling CDs now. They're outselling CDs.
So maybe there's hope. But no, the whole blow up Hollywood thing definitely fits in with that, and that's one of. I think that's one of the types of music where if you put in a blow up Hollywood CD, you leave it in.
That's
and
it.
You let it play.
I love that. That's what I hope.
You leave it in and you let it play.
That's right. It sets a mood. So it's very, and like you said, it's ambient. It's very moody. And that's what I like. I like when music changes the way the room feels, so you could walk into a room and just hear it and go, wow, this is like, I feel like the whole atmosphere has changed,
Exactly. And you guys certainly do that for sure. So Blow Up Hollywood, let's see, that started, what year was that? Was that 2002-ish? Something like that?
The first record came out March of 2002. Yeah, we recorded the very first record in the spring of 2001 in this beach house out on Long Island, the Hamptons. We were out there for a month. And in fact, we weren't even trying at the time to really start a band. We were just kind of recording just for the fun of it, these obscure tracks that I had come up with, just a bunch of friends of ours. And then we decided we liked it so much that we decided to release it as a record and use Blow Up Hollywood as our moniker,
Right. Starting at a beach house. That seems appropriate for some reason.
It does. And the music feels like it could be something like I think the beach house and the ocean right there.
The ocean, exactly, the water.
I think it influenced the way the music went and how it was recorded, and then even some of the pieces that got written. So, it played a big part in making that record.
Right. And that's definitely an awesome one. And that's self-titled, right? Blow Up Hollywood, for anybody who wants to go get the CD.
Yes. It's, believe it or not, and after all these years, because we've released now, I think it's 8 records in total over the last, I think it's 8 records in 16 years or 15 years. And that's still the most popular record.
Because it's absolutely amazing.
Wow.
Now, over this time, how do you think the project has evolved? Do you think you've evolved a certain way first, and that's followed you, or how do you think it's gone?
I think it's depended on, as when you're being creative and you're being authentic, you're always changing and growing, and then whether it's your own life or there are events in your life or events in the world that influence you or you think about a lot, that will stimulate you to be creative and to write about these certain topics or about certain things. The band's music has also changed a lot because of the different people come in, because I've never really I call it a band, but it's really like a collective, of just friends of mine that I love, that I really respect both musically and just as people writing. So, but the people have played a lot. Some people on some of the records, some of the musicians, and some people a little bit, and contributed to the writing. And so it's kind of evolved over time, just kind of naturally,
Right.
Like, in 2006, we released a record called The Diaries of Private Henry Hill, and that was an album that was entirely based on, like a conceptual album based on the journals of the soldier from the Iraq War, and that was like raging all in the news, and it was something I was constantly thinking about. And then, of course, it from watching it and thinking about it, and then from getting a hold of these journals, voila, there's an album. It's like, just whatever events, whatever is going on in my life, whatever is really attracting me, and I feel passionate about, I'll just start writing about.
Right. And the writing, so of course I'm going to have to ask you. I love the song Shine, and again, thanks for dedicating that to us. I mean, the lyrics to that, when I hear that song, it means certain things to me personally when I hear it, but what's the story behind that? I mean, what inspired you to write that song?
That's an older song. I mean, it only came out on the album Blue Sky Blonde, which was released in like 2013, 2014. But that was a bit of an older song I had, and I had written it after I went to see one of my favorite artists that I hadn't seen perform. This songwriter called Joseph Arthur. Have you ever heard of Joseph?
Oh, he's
Arthur?
amazing.
Yeah, I went to see Joseph Arthur, and I was like, wow, there was something about the night and his performance, and when I came home, there was something, I kept thinking to myself, man, I would love to be that good. That's really what I was thinking about. I would love to be that good, and thinking about how, like, somehow there's in each of us, we're all trying to be the best we can be at whatever we're doing, just life in general, our careers, our passions. And of course, the song to me is the idea about, hey, it's possible to do that. It's all inside of us, and we have to somehow get that to come out, get that to to shine.
Right, absolutely. And I think a lot of us who have MS, we can relate to that idea of there's a diamond inside me, but it's buried in the rough, which is one of the lyrics. Because maybe for whatever reason, whether it's symptoms or whatever's happening with the illness, we might feel like that piece of us has gotten buried and you can't see it right now. But there's that idea of that you'll see, I'll shine, you'll see, you'll see it. It's coming,
I love it. I think that's a song that's obviously meant a lot to a lot of different people, and I think it's very universal, that idea. I think we all feel like that to a degree, that there's something special about each one of us, and if we cultivate it and if we take care of ourselves, and with time it'll all come out.
Right, yeah, very positive, very uplifting, I think. So yeah. I have to ask you, between the songwriting, the playing, and you're also a writer, and
yes,
soundtracks, what do you think is going to be next for you?
Well, at the moment I'm working on two musical projects. One is a new Blow Up Hollywood record that'll come out, I'm hoping, next year, that I'm really excited about. And then there's another project I'm working on with a friend of mine who's also in Blow Up Hollywood. His name's Harvey Jones, and we have a project. It's kind of like an electronic project. It's just the two of us. It's a little different. It's called Here Joy Kills. And
okay.
I'm really excited about that. It's a different avenue for me, being that it's all super electronic. There's one track on it that just could be even like a dance song. It's something really different. But it also has this. It's this electronic dance, ambient. There's a futuristic feel and sound to it that's really, really great. So I have those two musical projects. Yeah. And you know what? I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm thinking about, there's a possibility, and I've said this to a few people, and they've reminded me that I've been saying this for years, but this could be Blow Up Hollywood's last record. Yeah,
really?
I'm feeling like I said all I need to say, and it's the music and the idea for this thing and how it started. It's kind of finishing up. Like, I feel like I'm putting a period on the whole thing. It's a strange feeling to have about something that you spent so much time with and you love so much, but everything has to have an ending, and I like the idea as an independent artist that I can control that ending if I so choose,
Well, something that feels like a natural ending. Perhaps.
Exactly.
Like if you're feeling like maybe something else is calling you.
Mhm. That's exactly it, Lisa. I feel like it's a natural kind of progression, and this is the way it should be. And there are other things to do, whether musically or just in life in general, And like you mentioned before, I consider myself, I really enjoy writing, like literature, poetry, prose, and I want to do more of that. And there's something really freeing about doing it. One, as you know, because you write, you can do it by yourself,
Right.
You don't need to be anywhere in particular to do it, like a studio or. There's something so beautiful about it, and I also I understand how difficult, just like the music business and how that's changed, writing and publishing. So I have no. I'm very realistic. It's not like I'm going to be doing it and saying, "Hey, I'm going to become a writer and make my living writing poetry and prose." It's not going to happen. But there's something about doing something creative and artistic without the idea that you're going to make a living off of it, and that changes everything.
Right.
It changes
right.
the way you go about it, how you think about it. I like that, and I think that's where I'm headed.
Well, definitely looking forward to seeing what you come up with. And in the meantime, while we have to wait, I guess, for your next books of poetry and prose and what have you to come out, if people want to get the music, is everything on iTunes? Where can people find the Blow Up Hollywood CDs? Yeah,
they're all on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, the Blow Up Hollywood website, blowuphollywood.com. It's pretty easy to find. It's everywhere good music is sold.
Okay, right on. So thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule today to talk to us.
Of course. For you, anything, Lisa, anything. You're my hero.
Thank you. And I will hopefully be seeing you soon. Bye-bye.
I can't wait, though.